Hi guys, I see everybody joining. Oh wow, I already got a like. That's exciting. I really thought this would just be me talking to myself for a while. Um, Type in the chat if you guys can ask like questions or anything. It doesn't have to be STEM related, but yeah, anything you guys really want to ask right now. Wow. Are you from Instagram or a subscriber or anything? You just woke up? Maybe you're in a different time zone than I am, but here it's 2:05, so or it's 2:03, so that's sleeping in a lot. But hi Joey. You followed me on Instagram, right? Oh, hi friends. Okay, so to answer Joey's question, at my job I basically process blood. So originally, I thought that I would be, like, actually testing the blood. So I don't wanna say where I work because just for personal reasons, but, I work for a clinical research pharmaceutical company. So basically what we do is we take new drugs that are being developed and pretty much are already developed, but they're not on the market yet, and I process the blood for the first in human trials. So that's pretty cool. So we actually have people on our unit, and they're the first people to ever take the drug. I mean, it's not always what you think of a drug. So it's not always a pill or an injection or anything like that. But sometimes it's just, I don't know, a cream or something like an inhaler medication or something like that. So it's not always something super scary or anything like that. But so basically, we take a lot of different blood draws because you have to see what the highest amount of drug concentration it is in the blood at a certain point to determine how much dosage to give a person or give a specific drug. So basically, yeah, so I'm in the phase 1 clinical testing, so it's first in human trials. And, so basically what I do is it's a lot of little steps that you probably wouldn't think about. Like, I didn't think about it originally, but, you have to, like, take the blood, and then you have to take the plasma and ship that off to get tested for different tests that I actually don't really know. I ask, but I don't know if we're supposed to know, like, every single test that a company does because we actually test for drugs by, like, AstraZeneca, Bayer, big companies like that. So, yeah, basically that's what I do. So I kind of like not package it, but I do a lot of like centrifugation, and sometimes we need to add additives or something like that to make sure the plasma stays before we ship it off to another lab that actually like tests it for the drug and the concentration of the drug in the blood. Hi, Hannah. Yes, I loved Salisbury. I went there, and when I first went, I went on a tour, and my mom actually went to Salisbury for a little bit, and she was like, "I loved Salisbury, you just need to try it." And I actually wanted to go to a school that was, like, bigger on sports and everything because I did gymnastics all through high school and middle school, and so I kinda wanted to be a walk-on or possibly, like, be on the team. And so Salisbury doesn't really have super big sports. Not that they're bad at sports at all, but, they don't have, like, gymnastics, and they don't have all different sports. So I, like, wasn't big on going there, but after I took the tour, I absolutely loved it because I liked how small it was. So, yeah, I loved Salisbury. I thought that it was a perfect size to kinda, like, meet people, but you also see your friends walking around campus and everything. It's not so big that you kinda feel overwhelmed in the beginning, even though I'm sure, like, things feel smaller as you stay there longer. So if you go to a big college, it starts to feel smaller, but, Salisbury, like, right away feels, like, very, comforting, kind of kinda like community college in a way, but a little bit bigger. Yeah. Did your cousins recently graduate, or have they gone, like, a long time ago? Also, would you guys be interested in, like, a Zoom call instead of going live on YouTube so that I could actually, like, see your faces, or would you feel less comfortable doing that and more comfortable doing the chat? I mean, you don't have to have your camera on for Zoom, obviously, but would you be more interested in that maybe next time, or do you like this kind of setup if I did this again? Um, so yeah, so I was definitely thinking of grad school. I actually applied to my top 3 or 4 because it's kind of expensive to apply, and I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to still go, but I told myself to take the GRE and apply to a few of my top ones because I was like, if I really end up wanting to go, it's better to send out the application soon than to regret it later. But like, I still wasn't really sure if I wanted to go, which I ended up not going. Um, but yeah, so I actually wait. What was the question? But yeah, so I did take the GRE, but it's good for 5 years. So if I do go to grad school, which I might still go to grad school, it'll still be good, and I took it 2 times because, I don't know if I told this I don't know if I told this in a video on YouTube, but it was an oh, wait, I did, yeah, on my GRE video, if you watch that one, it was a disaster, like, I accidentally exited out of an entire section. So, that was just a disaster. So I ended up taking it a second time, and I got good scores, so that was fine, but, my thoughts right now is I think I kind of like being in the medical kind of field. I wanna talk to a lot more people just about what they think of PA school and just different types of grad schools in that area or focuses as far as maybe not medical school, I'm not sure if I wanna go for that long, but I don't know, maybe radiology or something like that I've been really interested in. But I still think that getting a PhD is pretty cool, and I still have a passion for research. So I'm not saying it's 100% out of the question, but it's still a long time and a really big commitment. So I want to make sure that I want to do it for sure. For right now, I'm actually kind of leaning towards PA school possibly, but again, I kind of want to talk to more people. I'm working in a hospital right now, and so I have a lot of people at my disposal to just pick their brains. So that's what I've kind of been doing recently, just to kind of see if I find something that I like that I maybe didn't know about because there's really so many jobs out there. And that's why I like to do these videos and do YouTube videos because I feel like personally I had such a small view and like such a small idea about how many different jobs there are that you can do with a STEM major. Like biology and chemistry, you can do so many different things, and I had no idea. Like you can be a histology, you can get your master's in histology with a biology degree, I think. which is like cells and cell cultures. You can be a histology, what's it called? You can actually take, I think it's a live tissue histologist, I think it is. But after surgery, a lot of times, like, they take biopsies of, your tissue if they're removing something, and they still need to test it afterwards. So actually, you can be next to the surgeon, and right when they take something out, you take it from the surgeon. You have to prepare it a certain way, and I have my computer's going off. I need to turn this off. But you can actually be trained and qualified to prepare like tissues correctly, and you're not just doing kind of analyzing the slides, but you can also analyze slides and look at them for cancer. Like, I interviewed for this one job, which unfortunately I didn't get, but I wasn't too upset about it. It wasn't really exactly what I wanted to do, but you can actually just look at slides and analyze if it has the markers for cancer, which is, I think that's pretty cool. I didn't necessarily want to be staring at a microscope all day, but I think that's still pretty cool that you can literally, like, you're looking at people's slides and seeing if they have cancer, and you're kind of like one of the people that give them that definitive result. So that's pretty cool. And did you get similar jobs as Okay, Life with Sarah says, as a biochemistry major, did you get similar jobs as biomedical sciences? Trying to think. I think biomedical sciences is slightly different in that you learn things that you can apply more hands-on in a way, if I'm thinking of it correctly, because I think that if you're a biomedical technician, that you learn a little bit more as far as hands-on, like phlebotomy and stuff like that. But biochemistry is a lot of lab, so we're not always qualified to do jobs like that. Because I did see a lot of jobs right now that they need people with biomedical sciences, and although there's a lot of overlap, we're more qualified in the lab section as far as if they need people to process biological samples, and biomedical sciences is a little bit more qualified as far as hands-on clinical side of it, if that makes sense. Oh, from the nursing program? I heard the nursing program at Salisbury is really good, and it's competitive too. Oh, wow, she's in Charleston, South Carolina? That's awesome. I I love Charleston. I went there one time, actually. I was, visiting for an interview at their PhD program, actually, and it's such a cute, pretty little town. I absolutely loved it. My best friend, Ashley, if you guys watch my videos, she's been in quite a few of my videos. She's there for pharmacy school, so that's pretty cool. And I would definitely, if I was a travel nurse or something and stationed in Charleston, I would love it. Oh, hi, Michael. Guys, Michael Rains in the chat, if you see him, he's my friend that we went to school with. Would you be willing to speak to my students for Oh, wow, you're putting me on the spot. I'm just kidding. I would love to do that. Yeah. I feel like this is definitely, like, what I want my videos to go to is the high school students and college students that don't know what they're doing, like me. I feel like I just didn't know what I was doing with my life, and so I see a lot of students that watch my videos and they feel the same way, and it makes me feel better that I felt like that, because I stressed big time about that I should know what I'm doing, and really no one really does, so it's okay if you feel that way. And Joey, at my job, you said, "Is there room for growth at your current job, and would you need a higher degree to grow, or can you step up through experience?" And the job I currently have is actually at a private company, and so there's tons of room for experience, or tons of room for moving up just through experience. And I think that they would encourage us to kind of get our masters in a certain area, but we definitely don't have to. Like they've already talked to me about promotions, and I've only been there not very long, since September, I think. And there's plenty of positions available that they like to hire internally. And so if you work for a private company like that, a lot of times there's a lot of room for growth. But if you work, I noticed that one job that was offered to me, it was at another hospital, but it wasn't a private company like mine is at a hospital, if that makes sense. It was actually working for the hospital lab, and there was really no room for growth. So, really think about that and ask about that as if you're interviewing for jobs or anything, because I really would straight up be like, uh, would I be stuck here? Is it a high turnover rate for this position? Because I did ask for one interview and I said, "Does this have a high turnover rate?" Because I noticed that the position I'm filling, actually, she's going to school and she looked pretty young because she was one of the people that interviewed me over Zoom. And they said, "Yes, this has a very high turnover rate because you really don't move anywhere with this position other than if you go to school and you come back as a more qualified, like histologist or something like that." So it depends what you're looking for. If you want just a job as your first job and I guess you just want something to be there to make some money so that you can go back to school, then that's fine, I guess. But I kind of wanted options. So I wanted a job that I could be at a private company for a long time if I want to, but it also gives me enough experience and maybe helps pay for my education if I want to go back. So, yeah. So, the people on this chat, would you mind saying, like, if you're in college or high school or what grade you're in? I'm just curious. So for some reason, I don't know why my live stream like wasn't working. Oh my gosh. So it's the chat wasn't working. So I've been sitting here waiting for responses. um okay, anyway, I guess I guess I'll continue answering these even though it says that everyone left. Oh wow. Okay, so everyone's back. I don't Has everyone still been here? I don't know if it's working now, but I've been seeing that they just now are showing up. That's so strange. Okay. Um oh wow, you're at University of North Florida? Is Joey still in this chat? Okay, cool. I think I applied there, I think, in high school actually. I'm so glad this is working now. I was just sitting there waiting. Um what is this CSE major? Is that what does that stand for? Oh, you're at Towson? That's awesome. They are really good for teaching. I definitely think that I would love teaching if I decide to switch up on uh, whatever my career is eventually because my sister's a teacher and I think that I actually would probably really like it. So I have thought about teaching. So I think that's awesome that you're a teacher. Uh, and yes, I do learn a lot of stuff through my job because since I have to test new drugs, even though I'm not, the one actually testing it, but since we have to process these new drugs, we have to know the background and the science, kind of, but we have to kind of know the science and read the background on it. And so you don't have to know the details, but I do like reading the details and then learning more about just specifically what receptor it's acting on or kind of what type of drug it is. So I do learn. It's mostly just because I want to, because I think it's kind of boring to just sit around and do something like that and not actually know what's going on. So it's a lot if I were to know every single drug that we tested at our company. But I do, on specific protocols, I like to look up exactly what it is. What science degree would I recommend that has a high job landing? I would recommend, I definitely think chemistry and biology if you were to major in one and then minor in the other, or if you do chemistry with a biochemistry track like I did. I think that you're pretty much set if you want to work in a lab. It's really easy to get the experience in undergrad with various chemistry instruments and biological instruments, I guess, and protocols that maybe if you strictly did chemistry or you strictly did biology. I mostly would suggest chemistry because in chemistry you have to take biochem, and in biochem it's mostly what you do in biology, you just don't do as much of it. And so I would recommend probably to do chemistry with a biology minor or something along that line because I think that when they ask you your experience in undergrad or at least what research you did or anything like that, you will have the experience just through your labs, and you can at least say that. And labs, most of the time, use a lot of biological samples if it's research, and if it's chemistry, like a pharmaceutical company, chemistry will give you the experience with the different instruments. So that'll be good because I know my fiance, he actually has a job at a pharmaceutical company and they wanted him to have a little bit of experience with HPLC and different instrumentation like that. So if you do something, the various different lab protocols, you'll get the experience. And so I think that that'll really give you enough experience to get a job because a lot of these labs, they have to teach you, but they want the experience. So that's what I would suggest. How long will it take for a biochem major to get into medical school? Um, Medical, like, do you mean after you graduate or do you mean the 4 years? Because I've known people that apply the year after and I think they got in. And then, but most of the time, people kind of just take a break to go to medical school just to like get their hours and also to just take that mental break. So I don't think necessarily you have to have a certain time between uh, your getting your biochem major and medical school. But I think a lot of people do just because you kind of need a mental break sometimes from college. Did I get any in wow, these are a lot of questions. Did I get any internships before I graduated? Um, if you consider my internship at my college at Salisbury an internship, then yes, which it was considered one, but I wasn't sure if you are considering internship only at a different college. But I didn't do anything at any other colleges. I only did the one for the summer internship at Salisbury. And I think that was really good, actually. I worked very independently on that. So I really learned a lot about troubleshooting when things went wrong, for sure. Any specific classes that you can think of that would be beneficial to take? And not asking for your resume, but what are some specific skills that you put on it to show that you had good lab skills and proper knowledge? Okay, so specific classes, do you mean Aw, thank you. I don't know why this is so delayed because I have it so it's a live chat, but I'm getting these kind of delayed, so I'm you said I would be a great teacher, so thank you. Um, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So, any specific classes? It depends on what route you wanna take. I think that if you're a biochem major and you wanna go medical, you probably should do pre-med if you strictly know that you want to go to med school, just because in addition to biochem, if you do wanna go to medical school, you're gonna have to take anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 most likely, and statistics, and possibly maybe another higher biology class, which you might be able to cover with your biochem major. But yeah, so I do regret that taking biochem, I didn't really have time, which I guess I had time, but it would have been a little bit more stressful. I should have taken A&P 1 and 2, so I might actually have to go back and take that if I want to go to PA school or somewhere like that. Which I don't know how I feel about that because I really don't like those memorization classes, but I feel like you have to take A&P for stuff like that, so I'm not gonna fight it. But, I do recommend that if you wanna go medical or if you're not sure and you still like biochemistry because you might wanna do research, but you might wanna do medical, but you might wanna do medical research, I suggest doing A&P just because you cover all your bases. And for specific skills that I put on my resume, so what I did when I applied to jobs, I actually looked at the job, and a lot of times they have either a bullet point list or they have specific skills they're looking for in the ideal candidate. And so I would tailor my resume slightly before sending it to each position. So I basically had my normal resume, whatever, good at Microsoft Word, proficient in time management, whatever you want to say, stuff like that. But then on the bottom, when I have led a research project as the sole undergraduate research student for preeclampsia at Salisbury University, I also put I learned how to do PCR protocols, how to set up primers, stuff like that, if it's relevant to the job. So I mostly had the general overarching research project description. But if I notice that the job says, oh, we really want people that are that have experience with PCR, qPCR, and SDS page or something like that, I would actually say protocols used in this project were such and such, So I kind of just put a small list of things that I would have experience with in that project. What type of courses would I take as a freshman at university for a biochem major? So, I actually did a whole video on this. If you want to watch it, it's what to expect as a biochemistry major freshman, or I think as a chemistry major freshman and sophomore year. So, I specifically said the courses that I took, but it sounds like you are not going to school in the US because you say uni and we normally say college. So, you might not have seen the video, but for our normal typical freshman year for biochemistry, it would be well, also, I want to say that biochemistry major and chemistry major with a biochemistry track are different. Biochemistry major normally is a lot of biology and less chemistry, kind of. And then I did chemistry major with a biochem track. So basically, I did all of the chemistry classes, and then in addition, I had biochemistry 1 and 2, and I also had 4 or 5 biology classes. So it was set up a little bit different than some schools do. So I would really try to look at the classes if you're figuring out what track you want to see if that's what you're really interested in and if it has what you want. But for me, I took some of my prerequisite classes at a community college, and so I didn't have to take a lot of my gen eds. But freshman year, I just took chemistry 1 and 2, so that was 2 semesters. And then I took, I think, 2 history gen ed classes and calculus 1 and 2. And then that kind of rolled over into sophomore year where you really started doing more chemistry and you did or 2 semesters of organic chem, and then we also did physics, which someone asked me this before, I think a couple days ago. Someone DM'd me and asked me if I think physics is pertinent to a chemistry major, and I definitely think so if you're going to be a chemistry major, but I think as far as biology, I don't know how important it is. If you don't like physics, I don't think it's super important. And yes, I stayed at Salisbury for all 4 years, so I just graduated this past May. I'm sorry. Was it just quiet on the other end when it just froze? Did you guys really stick it out that whole time I was just sitting there? I'm so sorry. Um, you said, "What else do I think about teaching?" I think that I've considered if I did go back to get my PhD, I would love to maybe teach at college because I think you have a little bit more freedom to teach differently, and it's not so much of an outline of what you should be teaching. But if I didn't and I only had to have maybe a master's, I would definitely love to teach at either high school or community college. So, yeah. And yeah, I would I definitely have to convince Joey to do a YouTube video with me. I think he'd like to, but he's just a little less he doesn't like to be in front of the camera as much as I do. Not that I like all the attention on me, but he just I don't know. But yeah, maybe I'll have a live session with Joey and we can have him and me answering questions. That might be a little bit more interesting than just me. But he is actually being trained in HPLC soon, like officially trained, because I think we did it for in college. I want to say we did it one time maybe, but you have to in the pharmaceutical industry, it's like you have to get very specific training and you have to, well, pretty much with any, I guess, sciencey job, you have to learn the protocol and then you have to get signed off for it. So you can't just do it after what you learned in college and you're just thrown into it and you probably don't remember how to do it. Normally, you have to get trained and you have a supervisor train you, and then they have to watch you do it, I think, multiple times, and then they sign off for it. So, if you're interested in that, maybe working for a pharmaceutical company would be good for you. I think if you go into instrumental, it's really good because one, I've seen jobs that pay well because if you know how to work on those instruments or even make them better, it's a very valued skill. Like I'm trying to think of the company. I think it's BD. Let me look it up. I think it's BD that does a lot of chemistry. Yeah, Becton Dickinson. I think I actually applied to a job there. I don't know why, because it's a humongous company and I have no experience. So it's safe to say I didn't get that job. But yeah, so they make a lot of different supplies and medical. It says world's leading supplier of medical devices and chemistry instruments. So if you're interested in that, look up different companies that might be hiring for things like that, or sometimes maybe offer an internship. I don't know much about that, but I know that someone that graduated, I think the year before me, they got an internship slash, so it was a paid internship. If they stayed there, I think 6 months, they would have the job, which is how it is a lot for internships after you graduate. But he really, really liked fixing chemical instruments, which for me, that sounds so boring. But yeah, he really liked that. And he's getting paid some big bucks at, I don't know what company it is, but they hired him because he interviewed and told them about how his research he actually built. I think for his project, he was actually building something and making it better. And they really liked that. So they hired him. And so if you guys want, again, the chat is freezing, so I'm not really sure if you guys are still on right now. It says that there's 6 participants right now, and then in the chat it says that there's 0 people. So I'm not really sure if this is freezing again. But if you guys want to be looking for some undergrad internships, definitely look those up as soon as possible if you know that even I don't know, even if you don't like research specifically, I would start looking up different internships or undergraduate opportunities that you guys can be a part of maybe over the summer, or even I know now a lot of things are virtual, so I wouldn't be surprised if they offer something that's virtual for you guys now. But definitely go like ACS has a whole page where it lists different colleges that actually have REU opportunities, so their research experience for undergraduates. They have a whole list. You could just scroll through. Like, let's say your dream is to go to Brown and do grad school, or go to, I don't know, UNC and do research with a certain professor. Sometimes they actually have certain programs where specific professors say, yeah, I'm open to have my research lab have one undergraduate. So sometimes they're looking for people that are from out of state to offer you guys that opportunity. And a lot of times they will pay you a stipend and pay for your housing. And my friend went to California. I'm trying to remember where he went to do it. I think he went through Amgen Scholars. I'll write this down so that you guys I can't believe that I was just sitting. I don't know why I was stuck. But let me put this on for you guys. It's stuck again. The chat isn't working, but there are a couple chats that are popping up now. I don't know why it takes like 10 minutes for these things to be showing up, so that's a little weird. but I'm going to type these in for you guys. So if you want to look for undergraduate opportunities, definitely check out ACS, Amgen Scholars. I have it written down. I wrote this down because I wanted to mention this to you guys because you asked a lot of questions about undergrad opportunities. NIH, so the National Institute of Health, and the National Science Foundation. Oh my goodness, I can't spell. Research opportunities. If I spell things wrong, I'm blaming it on my dyslexia. I appreciate you guys sticking it out while my live wasn't working. So Alex said, "Hi Alex, you follow me on Instagram also. So thanks for tuning in." Biochem major here, struggling with analytical chem. Yes, analytical is hard. I don't even feel like you're alone in that. What class did you struggle with the most? Oh, this is such an easy answer. Physical chemistry 1. And I don't even know if this is because my professor is just crazy. She's just one of those people that they just start writing on the board. We had 5 whiteboards across the room. I think it was about 5. So it was 2 walls that were covered in whiteboards, and she would derive an equation, and it would start on one whiteboard and end on the other one, and then she would start erasing the first one and just keep on going. And this was just for one derivation. And so sometimes it was just so hard to keep up, and then a lot of times she had office hours that were during my practice times, and so it was a hard class. I definitely cried after my first exam. So if you feel like you guys are alone and struggling, do not feel that way. I still ended up with a good grade in that class, even though I thought I was going to fail. Like the first exam, I'm just going to put this on the record because I'm sure you guys have had this happen. I got like a 55%, I think. I mean, that was before the curve. But still, that is very defeating. I still ended up with a good GPA and a good grade in the class. So don't feel like you're alone if you're struggling in a class. Analytical chemistry, I can relate to that because I had a lot of friends. I actually loved analytical chem, but it was hard. I had a lot of friends that struggled with it. I personally struggled because I am a little bit dyslexic, and writing down all of those numbers so many times, I switched the numbers. And so it was it was a struggle sometimes. Oh yeah, maybe we'll do a Zoom meeting. Sorry, I'm just now getting to some of these old chats. Yeah, maybe we can do a Zoom meeting with Joey, my fiance, and maybe I can get some of my friends too. I have a friend, she's actually in grad school for a PhD, and then I have another friend who is in pharmacy school. I have 2 friends in pharmacy school. And then I have another friend who is at NIH. I think he's at NIH. I think he is doing a post-bac program. So basically, a lot of people think this is only if you have a bad GPA to do a post-bac program before you go either into work or before you go to get your PhD or your master's or anything like that. But actually, sometimes it just is like really good experience and it looks really good on a resume. And so, I would suggest doing that. It doesn't pay very well, but it looks very good, especially if you can get into NIH or anything like that. For a forensic science job, what do you suggest? Ooh. So actually, Joey, my fiance, not Joey in the chat, but he was looking into forensics as well. A bachelor's of science in biochemistry or in chemistry. So what I've noticed for forensics is that They actually a lot of times want a forensics degree. I'm not sure if all colleges have just forensics. I know that a lot of community colleges have forensics programs. So if maybe you said he's biased. Oh, you mean he's a biochemist. So you said your advisor is a biochemist, so you think he's biased to biochem. Well, yeah, I think that biochem actually does give you a lot of good experience for forensics, but I think that there are a lot of forensic classes that I think jobs expect you to have that biochem would not give you. I think that a lot of forensics has a lot of biology in it, and of course biochemistry, because you're doing a lot of gels, and actually genetics classes will teach you a lot about um, uh, what's the word? Genetic marking, I think that's what it's called. When you actually can see someone's genes on a gel, but it's called something else. I'm blanking on the name, but you can actually have genetic markers, and it can show you basically who the killer is, who's the dad, kind of stuff like that. And so you can learn that. PChem does suck. I just got that chat. I don't know why everything's so delayed. But yeah, so forensics, I would suggest, yeah, like a forensic, maybe, yeah, if you have a minor in forensic science, I think that would probably be really good, because there are a lot of biomedical science and forensic science classes that they kind of want you to take. If you can do a master's program in forensics, that would probably be good too. But I know that there's a lot of community colleges that offer forensic classes, and if those transfer well to your college or anything like that, I would kind of look into that, because one, that's cheaper, and two, it's a little bit not easier, but if you can go to community college, a lot of time they offer online classes more than maybe your college does. So, yeah. I actually think forensics is pretty cool. I have looked into it. I don't really know what it would entail though as far as a day-to-day job. If you kind of start as just a little lab technician and you analyze blood, I'm not really sure what you do, so I think it's pretty cool though. Okay, well, my chat is frozen again. So I'm going to wait for some responses, and then I'm going to wrap it up a little bit. If you guys have any more questions, I'll answer those, and then I'll probably end the stream. But I really appreciate you guys joining. I really thought that I would be sitting there, even though I was sitting there on my phone when everything froze. But I really appreciate you guys actually joining. I really didn't think that anyone would. And I hope that this helped you guys actually, I don't know, feel a little bit better. I think I mostly just want you guys to feel more comforted that you're not alone, that chemistry and biology and STEM majors are hard, and don't think that you're alone if it's makes you feel kind of like you can't do it or anything like that, because I definitely have been there. My friends have been there, and that's why I feel like it's so important to just build a little group of friends, whether or not they are the exact same major as you. Just build that little group of friends, build a study group, and it just helps you so much get through the quizzes that are super hard, or the exams, or the certain professor that's really hard, because then you realize that you're not alone. And sometimes other people, it's not even about, being the smartest. I know some people are so competitive when it comes to school, and I always tried so hard not to be like that, but it's so easy to get like that when other people are like that. And so sometimes I would feel like I had to, act a certain or get a certain grade or something to be with a certain study group kind of thing. And I know that's so vain, but it's so easy to get that way when people really pride themselves on how smart they are, and people pride themselves, sometimes like that's that's all they really have known is that they're the smartest person in the class, and so they get very competitive if other people are smart too or something like that. But my mindset is that just accept everyone into your study group and just kind of band together because you're all in this together. A chemistry major, I remember one of my professors said, a chemistry major, you cannot do it by yourself. Like, you basically get a chemistry major with all of your friends. You're not just getting a chemistry major yourself. And I think even now, I'm sure it's really hard because you guys aren't as much in person. I know that I basically lived in the library I don't know, basically all 4 years except for senior year. I actually didn't go to the library, I don't think, once. But, I lived in the library because that's where all the other chem majors were, and sometimes if I didn't understand a question, I had to go to someone else because maybe my professor wouldn't have answered in time or, just wasn't available. And sometimes they can just explain things even better than the professor can because at times professors actually, I really believe that they forget what it's like to not understand chemistry sometimes. I don't know if you guys have experienced that before, but I have some professors that I've asked questions and they were just so confused as to why I didn't understand. And so sometimes going to your friends to actually ask them questions and have them explain it is sometimes a little bit easier to understand than if your professor explains it in a more complicated way. And then same for you, like sometimes you can explain it to your friends. And so it's kind of like a give and take, if you have a good study group where everybody understands that everyone has their strengths. Some people are super good at the math of chemistry, some people aren't. Some people are really good at memorizing. Like my one friend, bless her heart, she was just not a math person. And that's totally fine because a lot of people aren't. And for me, I am such kind of a logical, analytical thinker that analytical chemistry was just fun for me. Like I loved I loved doing that and solving problems that I felt were so that could apply so much. And I know we had one lab and it was like, "Oh, figure out how much of this is in toothpaste." And I was like, that doesn't really apply to day-to-day life, but it's cool, you know? You can see where it applies. And she hated analytical chemistry. Like the math in it just boggled her brain. But yet she could memorize things that I struggled with in biochem because I'm just really bad at memorization. So I highly suggest building a study group. We're all in this together. My mindset when I was getting my chem degree was like the whole class, we're all getting this degree together. It's not just you getting that degree, it's everyone. And finally, my chat just kind of worked again. So I'll answer some more questions. What is your dream job? I don't know. Honestly, right now it's so hard. I have to say, it sounds terrible because right now I'm talking to you guys about STEM and everything like that. But right now, I really want to be my own boss. Like, I want to start my own company. I don't know what that is, but I really, really like helping people. And I like kind of like I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. So ever since I was little, I've tried to sell stuff. When I was younger, my sister and I started, mostly she started it and then I kind of carried it on. We started a duct tape. This is so funny. A duct tape company. Like, do you guys remember when duct tape wallets were really big? Like, people would make duct tape wallets all the time and duct tape bags and sell them at school. So basically, that's what we did, but we took it to the next level and we'd make these like very complex pocketed purses out of duct tape. And I swear I made so much money as a 12-year-old selling these bags for $80 each. I wouldn't spend $80 on a purse now, but these people were buying $80 duct tape bags. So just as a background, that's that's what me and my sister have always been like. And so I've always been interested in like graphic design and I don't know, not necessarily fine arts like drawing, but I've been interested in just expressing through art. And so I'm not the greatest artist, but I really have always been interested in art and design and everything like that. So I think something where I could market and help people and be my own boss, that actually is very general, but that would be my dream job. So if I could tie that into kind of YouTube and STEM related things on how to help people, boom, right there. Dream job. Um, my school doesn't have a forensic program, but I feel so bad that these chats are coming in so late. But suggested to do biochem with a minor in forensic science. Yeah. It's so weird because I feel like forensic science, a lot of people want to do it, but I feel like there aren't really that many resources to do it. So I don't really understand why that is. Oh, was it an REU that you got in Denver? I've gone to Denver. It was a pretty cool city. I visited because I was thinking of doing a PhD program there. And so I just wanted to kind of walk around and see if I'd like actually living there. But I'm sorry, that sucks. I definitely was upset because I was about to present in Montana at the national what's it called? Um I was gonna present at this conference for chemistry and biochemists and everything for undergraduates, and it got canceled. It was supposed to be the week, I think the last week of March, so that was the first full week of quarantine, I think. I was so upset because I've never been to Montana, and that would have just been such a fun opportunity. And I would have gotten to go with some of my friends. So that would have been so fun. But yeah, I would definitely look into other internships, see if there's any possibility that you can do things online. My friend right now, he actually struck a deal with my professor, my old research professor, Dr. Sokolowski. He is at Salisbury doing biochemistry, so he does the biochem research that I worked on, and also my friend. So he does pretty cool research. I think that it applies, like you can see where it applies in real life, and that's why I liked the project that I worked on with him. But my one friend, Brandon, who is doing a project with him, actually asked him if he can do an online internship project. So basically, he's researching COVID and the different RNA conformations and I think primers for PCR. He's doing things like that. So you don't necessarily have to be in lab doing things because obviously he's not doing research with coronavirus, but he's doing research that you can kind of simulate on the computer. And so that's pretty cool. If you can think of something and you know a professor that's willing to do that with you, I would look into that just to see if you could, one, still get credit for it, and two, you could still be learning something during your summer break if possible. But I think that's all the questions I'm going to do for you guys. I'm sorry if there's some uh, chats that are up right now that I'm not seeing, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in today, and I'll do this again, hopefully. And if you guys would like to do a Zoom, please let me know or DM me on Instagram. Any suggestions of videos or what you want to talk about during the next live stream or anything like that. So I'll see you guys all later. I'll say bye and then I'll wait for a little bit because I'm assuming that the chat's going to be late. But okay, bye.